Welcome to the Mystical Truths Podcast. This is Rebecca, and I'm really glad you're here. Let's unlock your world. I thought it might be a good idea just to give you a little intro to who I am and what my intentions are for the Mystical Truths Podcast. You know, for me, this all started at a really young age. I was super curious. I had lots of questions. I used to think things like, why are we here? When did this all start? Is there an end to it? Do people learn skills and wisdom and things like that and then just die and it's for nothing? And then what happens when we die? If there's more to life and the afterlife, then what is it? Why is it so crazy here? Like, how do we navigate all of this stuff? All the differences and it's a big world. Why do bad things happen to good people? Why don't we all believe the same truths or the same things? Eventually, questions like, how do we get to happiness? Like, how does that work? And what do you mean by all is well? And contrast is a really good thing. The stuff of life is really good when it doesn't always seem that way to us. So how can that be true? So I had so many questions. And from people, I was hearing very conflicting information. So I started asking questions within myself. And back in the day, there wasn't the internet. We didn't have a local bookstore. But that was okay, because I found that when I just asked, answers showed up. So over the years, I gathered more, I understood more. Life itself is a really good teacher. Eventually, I connected with people through workshops, books, groups from around the world. But I always wanted the truth. So I weeded out what didn't feel true to me or what just didn't seem to fit. And I took the rest and I blended it with what I was getting through my inner guidance, through what felt accurate to me. Eventually, I started sharing with other people because I noticed that many of us are struggling through life and stressing. But with the right information, it doesn't have to be that way. That I know for sure. I taught in the medical and the spiritual personal development fields for many years. Now, I just teach this stuff. I just teach in the personal development spiritual realms. My preference has always been to take what seems complicated and break it down to what is just simply understandable, because I think everything can be. That's what I've learned. So in this podcast, we'll talk about why people are stressed or depressed, confused, lost. What do we do about it? Why are people mean? What do we do about that? And why are they? Really? How do they get to that? Because that's not who we truly are. Why do we get like that sometimes? Right? We all have that ability, right, to be nice or mean. What's really going on with this life thing? We'll talk about how law of attraction really happens. We'll talk about intuition, death, the other side of life, how healing works. And one word I can give you there that's the answer to that is ease. So we'll talk about that and a whole lot more. Any questions you have, I'm happy to address. Because life it's complex, but it's still very simple. And when we look at it from that broad and simple perspective, we find ourselves. We find that ease, the ease that life is made up of. So I look forward to our time together and any questions you may have. You can find me at Mystical Truths with an S, mysticaltruths.com. And I named it Mystical Truths years ago because I discovered we all make our own truths. There are a lot of things that are true, and we decide that individually. As in, if you tell yourself you're a bad cook, that becomes true. If you decide your life is good, that becomes true. If I've touched anything that you've thought about too, stay tuned. I'll definitely share personal stories about my life experience because I think that makes what I teach more realistic, more relatable. This is all about ease. I think we'll have a lot of fun together because after all, isn't fun the best thing to have. So there it is, and here we go.